Yeah, Chris got his camera. All right, Chris, for $5, I want you to quote Uncle Bill's famous quote that took him over 30 takes to do.
Oh,
Go.
come on. It's okay. It's all right. Uh, Jesus told me
All right.
so.
Cut. First of all, Chris, you're way off. Second of all, the quote is on my shirt. Welcome back to Crosscut, everybody. I'm your co-host, Josh.
And I'm your other co-host, Chris.
And you can tell by our cameras, we're doing a movie about movies.
Mm-hmm.
And if Chris could not get the hint right away, the movie is literally on my t-shirt. So that means Chris lost $5. He now owes me another $5. Added on to the $70 or $80 he already owes me from way before. We'll just keep this going throughout the year. Anyways, we are watching, for the first time in Crosscut history, almost 2 years, we are watching a documentary.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So we decided to change it up a little bit after a little bit of a hiatus. As you can see, I got a bit of a haircut. Chris looks still ugly as hell, but you know,
I got a haircut too. You know?
Well, it just seems like you're just losing hair every episode, but that's okay. You're a dad. We get it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this was I think it was my week. I don't know. We kind of lost track, but
yeah, that's fine.
I asked you if I could do a specific episode because it actually fit with my Everyone's a Critic film challenge book. This week's was independent film, and I was like, ooh. And this is a movie that I've wanted you to watch for a long time. I'm assuming you've never seen it.
No, but
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make a statement. This is my favorite documentary of all time.
You're kidding me.
I love this movie.
Like, I have a lot of stuff to say about this. Yeah, I got my notes here. See, I got my notes.
All right.
First of all, I do like movies about making movies, like Oblivion, Living in Oblivion, or I don't know, another movie I can't think of right now. But I do like those because you get to see how they do it, or it's the movie magic, if you will. But honestly, without knowing anything about this movie, all I could think of was this is the Tiger King of filmmakers, not knowing that the director also did Tiger King.
I looked it up after. I didn't realize that this director actually, he did a lot of my favorite documentaries. He did the Fire Festival documentary on Netflix.
I know about the Fire one.
I don't think he directed Tiger King, but he was involved in it. I saw it on his IMDb. So he's been involved in a lot of documentaries, but I love this movie because these guys they're characters, but these are real people.
I know. And I know, for one, I always liked how they, with their accents and everything, instead of Coven, it's like Coven. Like, we gotta finish the Coven short film. Colvin.
It's Colvin, man. What else could it be pronounced?
Coven. That's the proper pronunciation.
No. Coven. No. Coven sounds like oven, man.
But I don't know why. It's like so many things that he does. It's like, how is this possible? Like, you need $3,000 to make a short film. $3,000. I'm over here thinking, what do you need $3,000 for exactly?
You do realize, Chris, this entire production was shot on film and edited on film.
I do, yes, I know. And I would imagine most of that went towards the actual film. And I couldn't tell if it was his actual camera or not. But it's not.
Well, there's multiple cameras in the movie. So the brother says at one point that he was gifted an 8mm camera, but he's also using other cameras. Like, I'm pretty sure he's using 16mm, and I think that's all borrowed or rented.
I was gonna say, because he does mention that he shoots Coven on a 16. But it's just, I feel so bad for Uncle Bill because he just went directly to him.
We'll get to Uncle Bill. I have him for last.
Right.
I don't know, $3,000 sounds about right, honestly, especially in that time with all the film that they had to use. And
if it's mostly towards the actual film, yeah.
And they literally had to go to a school to edit the movie, so maybe that even costs money.
Now I'm thinking that might have been like a free college or something like that at the time.
Yeah, it's
The
University of Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
That's like a state school. I don't know. I don't know if that would be
Hmm.
free. Anyways, my history with this movie, I don't remember the first time I saw it. It was definitely after we went to film school. I think it was just one of those movies that just popped up one day and I watched it and I just loved it. And I mean, I've probably seen this movie at least a dozen times because, again, I love movies about making movies. Mark is the kind of guy that if you don't want to make a movie after you see this, then clearly this isn't the right business for you because he has the inspiration, man. I love the way he talks. I love his mentality. He's just so he's crazy. He does not feel like a real person, but he is. Because I actually there's he does a weekly radio show that I mean that's him, man. Like that is him through and through.
Yeah, he's very he's eccentric. But he gives off that I know how to do this. I know all of this.
I'm going to tell you why films fail. I'm going to tell you why films succeed. And I'm going to tell you about this one right here, Northwestern.
I know a lot of filmmakers are like that, but it's just the unfinished things. And you know how in the Northwestern, nothing's explained about it?
Yeah, so it ends up he's making a short film. That's what it is.
Right, I know he's making a short film so he can benefit off of the short film to make the feature. It's just there's nothing about Northwestern. All you know is that it's a feature. That's it. You
Yeah,
don't know
and they
what's
shot parts of
about.
it, and that's it. That's actually the name of his production company. When I bought this shirt straight from Mark himself, I literally
Really?
bought this from Mark himself. It came from Northwest Productions in Wisconsin. So
Okay.
thank you, Mark. Thank you for that. I support you. Chris obviously doesn't.
Yeah.
But anyways, like this is a movie that you feel like we can relate to because it's all about independent filmmaking, making
Yes,
stuff
I-
on. I mean, the scenes of him having his mom to do the camera, like I feel like I've been there before. Like I've been
I feel
there.
like
you've
everyone's been there at one point.
If you're an indie filmmaker and you're making something with your friends and family, and that's what I actually love about this because it reminds me of I think some of my favorite times about getting into filmmaking where it's just you and your buddies just going out there and making something.
I also like that when they are shooting Coven and they're all now I'm saying Coven instead of Coven.
Coven sounds like oven, man.
Technically called Coven. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, true. But I like how when he's trying to get extras and whatnot, and only like one person shows up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the one actor, and he thinks he's there for Northwestern, not Coven.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, wow. Mark was all over the place.
I love his group of friends, though, man.
Damn.
We'll talk about the
Mike.
characters in a minute. Mike. Actually, we'll just go into the characters now. We already talked about Mark. I mean, Mark is the guy. Like he kind of says in the beginning, like he was smoking dope and drinking beer, not even paying attention to his little radio show that he's doing. But I love the scene where he's in the basement, he's drinking a beer.
I'll be right there. I got the perfect blankets, man. I just found them. That camera will be silent.
It's hilarious because clearly he loves filmmaking, but he's also clearly just a Wisconsin drunk. And if you know, do you know anything about people from Wisconsin? They drink alcohol a lot. I kind of can relate being in Buffalo where it's freezing cold in the wintertime. You can't go outside anywhere. So what do? You go when you drink. In Wisconsin, that's what you do. So these guys grew up probably drinking since they were, underage. And, you see it throughout the movie. They're drinking beer throughout the whole movie. And they're just blue collar guys. But this one guy specifically has a dream and a passion.
Now we go into Mike.
Well, actually, I want to go into Robert, the thespian actor.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Why don't you talk about Robert for a minute? What's your impression of Robert?
I mean, at first glance, it's like, okay, he's one of those passionate actors that really wants to express everything. He's got that like he likes to puff up his chest for that kind of an actor, and I thought it was funny because he's just doing what he's doing.
I couldn't remember his name up until after I rewatched it tonight. But I'm like, I feel like every small city has a guy like this that like is an actor interested in, or not interested, but like he thinks of himself as a serious actor.
Right.
I feel like every small city has this guy.
And you can see it more when they're in the shot where they're in the forest or whatever, and he's like in a leather jacket and whatnot, and he's like, it's cold.
Right. Yeah, well, he just Mark looks at him and he just goes,
I'll take off the scarf.
like he already knows. Like he's very I don't know, just very theatrical. Obviously, like he seems
Thinks
like
of
he came from
himself as high class.
exactly, but for a guy that's like from Wisconsin, which I think is funny. That's why I said I feel like every small city has a guy like this who just he thinks he's like, you know, if I moved to New York City, I would have been taken seriously as an actor. And then yes, we have Mike, our who I think is the MVP of this movie, Mike Shank. He feels like just he's the real deal. My favorite quote in this movie is from Mike, which I love to read because it's a great quote. Here is what I think of the lottery. It's when you play the lottery, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But it's better than using drugs or alcohol, because when you use drugs and alcohol, especially drugs, you always lose. Mike Shank.
And he would know since he did so many drugs, almost killed him, and still wanted to do drugs afterwards.
His story about dropping acid, pretty much dying, going to the hospital, waking up, wanting to drop more acid it's hilarious. Come on.
And you can tell that he's so dope from like that it really affected him because he's like socially awkward. He's slow. His laugh.
But I love Mike. I just love his personality.
He won $250.
He won some money, and he won some from some scratch offs with the one with the potato, and you know.
I love how he says though, like he won $200. He stashed some of it away, and he only has like $20 in his pocket. Like, what can we get for $20? And Mark's like, "Well, we can get some beer." I don't want to spend no beer. Why don't you buy it and I'll drink it? Like,
it's funny. Mark was he knew just what to say.
Okay, what's the next character for you?
Well, my final character is Uncle Bill. I absolutely adore this man. He is on his deathbed up until the final shot. Clearly, this man is not well. I mean, physically. Like I think he's mentally still there for the most part. Like I think he's
for the most part.
I think he's my thing about Mark's family. They are supportive to an extent.
Right.
You know, you see his dad. His dad's not that supportive, but he still. He shows up to the premiere. He tells Mark to get the movie done. Yeah. He's not. He tells him like this isn't the right. This isn't right for you. But I think he just accepts it. That's the dad.
Well, his mom is like she will do stuff to support him if he asks and stuff like that. But she's even admitted like, yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere with this.
Exactly. So they're supportive in a certain way. It's like we'll help you. We're there
because
for you.
Your family.
But when it comes to like when he's not there and the camera and they just ask straight up, like, the mom is like, I don't think so. It's interesting. And then Uncle Bill, who's just all about the money, or is just I mean, I love the part where Mark shows him the picture of the girl's like, she wants to be in your movie, Bill. He's like, whoa, look at that.
Well, the funny thing is, but to me, this entire time I'm thinking like he's trying to convince Bill to fund his movie so much that I'm like almost thinking that he's swindling his uncle for money because he's the only person that would actually give it to him. That's what I keep thinking all the time because he kept going to his trailer every time, updating him, stuff like that.
Well, he already got the money in the beginning. He was still keeping him in the loop throughout the the production,
right.
And
but like in the beginning,
he was still
Bill's
involved.
asking like, "Where's my money?"
I know, which is funny because like there's the scene where they're filming at their house and Bill's sitting outside in his little lawn chair, and they're doing interviews, and then it cuts to Bill. He's like,
"You're supposed to be taking care of my money and doesn't tell me a darn thing about it."
How much money do you have? Like $280,000. I'm like,
hey man, he had a lot of money, like $3,000. That wasn't that much, and by the end of the movie, obviously
still
Bill
gifted him $50,000.
Yeah, this movie takes place over the span of, I would say, we'll say 2 years. And Uncle Bill in the beginning was pretty feeble. By the end, like the last 20 minutes, he looked sickly. Like you could tell, like it was
He
coming.
he didn't want to do anything. He was over it.
Yeah, and I kind of like that the last shot of the movie is actually of him. I think that's kind of fitting, where he's kind of giving his little quote to Mark, that, and then it goes right into saying that he passed away pretty much like, I think like a couple months after that shot happened. And then it does say that he did donate 50 grand to Mark to make Northwestern, which he never made. So questions there, but yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, yeah, it was never made. That makes me think of the scene where he's going over his bills and debt.
Man, who wants to be faced with this crap?
No wonder he can't make anything. He keeps saying like 30,000 just to his dad, then the IRS, to child support.
Oh, God. Kick fucking ass. I got a MasterCard.
I don't think he just took that money just for personal reasons. I truly think Mark was the kind of guy that probably tried to make the movie and something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the feature film just didn't end up working out. I don't think he was just swindling his uncle to pay his bills. I really don't think that.
Okay.
By the way, it was only 10 grand he owned his dad, not 30. But still, a lot of money. I just think Mark's the kind of guy, he's a dreamer, and he dreamed of this life. He just wanted to make movies, and that's why you see him. He never wanted to work a 40-hour job. 40-hour a week job. You know, he did newspapers, and then he worked at a cemetery, and even then he's like, I can't see myself doing this for more than a couple weekends.
Well, that's the thing, that he was so in his head about making it big with his movies that he wasn't making a living. He wasn't trying to support himself to make those movies.
It's not fair when he has kids to think about. I think it's different. You are at that point being selfish when you have other people to really think about.
When they were interviewing him, he sounded incredibly selfish when he already has three kids, right?
Yeah, it was 3 kids. Even though they showed 4, so I'm not sure who the fourth kid was.
I don't know where the fourth one is.
I never fully understood. I just thought maybe it was like, I don't know.
Either way, he has kids, but the way he was talking about the mom, like she wants me to marry her, and I was like, I don't want to do that. You literally have 3 kids. You don't even stay with her. Nothing.
He's hanging on to his youth. I think that's also a thing. Is that obviously
he 30 and he's 30.
He still's hanging on to that youth where he just wants to drink beer with his buddies and make movies, and the movies is the dream. That's the priority. But you know, obviously he has kids, and he says he loves his kids, and I'm sure he does loves his kids. But I don't know. I feel like I knew people like that growing up too. And I'm not judging them. I'm not saying they're bad people. You know, he obviously lives with his mom, I think. Like, I think that's what it looked like. And he didn't want to get a real job. He owed a lot of money because he wanted to make his movie. Yeah, he just worked part-time, and I get it. And I don't know much about Mark now. He blew up because of this movie. Like, he got pretty popular. Like, you know, Coven never became a huge thing. I've seen the short film, funny enough. It's pretty entertaining for a half-hour short. But the movie is what made this, made everything. It was because of this movie. And he still lives in Wisconsin. Like I said, he does like a weekly radio show that I listen to every once in a while. I don't really know if he's still making films. He's obviously selling merchandise, so he does that. Yeah, I don't think he ever made Northwestern. I don't know if he's still planning on it, but I listened to his radio show. He's obviously very passionate about film itself. Like, the way he talks about movies is very in depth.
I did like the fact that he knew his knowledge. He knew everything about making a movie.
Hey man, the scenes of them shooting on film, editing, we never even did that extent to like we never edited on film.
We didn't edit on film. It was done for us.
And he wasn't really trained, so he knew what he was doing.
It was all self-taught. I know. I love how the fact that they were like panicking about the 2 shots, the 2 frames that went missing.
Where is this part of the film? What are you going to have, a blank spot on the film? What are you going to do? You got to find each missing piece and tape this in.
I don't think they ever found those frames, did they?
I don't know. I'm gonna put a link in the video to the actual short film, so people want to watch it. It's like 27 minutes. Check it
Well,
out. It's kind of entertaining.
well, speaking of the short, when they kept showing like some scenes that they actually did, like the junkyard scene, like that actually did look very cool.
Yeah, and to think that that was shot over the course of like years, and they made it like
Right.
and I
That
think
was
shooting in black and white helps, but
yeah.
to make it kind of continuous.
Like that shot was interesting. The one in the woods with the robes and whatnot. You can see it's menacing, very witchy. The practical effects with the cabinet door.
All right, hold on, man. Hold on. Cut.
That had me
Come on,
laughing.
that was funny.
That had me laughing. It was like poor guy, poor.
Right.
It's not breaking, man. It's not breaking.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's
Oh,
just like I love watching like the one man band kind of filmmaker where he's just trying to do everything himself, and I just love he's like, we got every f stop known to man, and I don't know. He just really loves filmmaking, and he was just him and
got
his
his light
buddies.
meter,
Yeah, man.
his measuring tape with everything.
They were doing it, man. I mean, back in that day, man, like in the 90s, shooting on film, like doing everything that way practically. We kind of
Cool.
we were in that weird in between where we shot on film, we edited digitally. I don't know if that would ever we could ever I don't know if I could do that again, but I just wanted to kind of wrap up with the characters. So we obviously know at the end of the movie Uncle Bill passes away a couple
Right.
months after where we see him. Sadly, Mike Shank, he did pass away a few years ago.
Yeah, I know that he passed away.
And that's the only two people I knew about. And then right before we got on, I decided to look it up. And actually, there's a few more people I just wanted to mention. So I guess Mark's mom and dad actually his mom passed away like a year ago to the day.
Oh wow.
And she was 97. She lived a long life. And actually, I looked at
Wow.
her obituary for Mark's mom. She was a very cultured life. Like she was from Sweden, as you find out in the movie.
Right.
She moved around. She traveled a lot. She lived in like Germany and like all these other countries, and then she
Just
eventually
settled in Wisconsin.
somehow got to Wisconsin, which baffles me. She spoke like multiple languages. Yeah, she lived to like 97, so she lived a long life. Mark's
Sure.
dad, Cliff, who you see in the movie,
Yeah.
he died in 2012. He was about 90, so I mean they lived pretty long lives. Robert, the guy, the thespian, the actor, he passed away, I think, in 2016.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, and I think that was that was it as far as I know. I
I think
think
it was
Mark's,
Mike died cancer. I think it was.
yeah, it was something like that. So it was sad. I actually remember when he passed away. A lot of people that I follow on Instagram, like filmmakers, were posting about it. This movie's actually very beloved in like the film.
Like indie.
Yeah, so like a lot of like famous filmmakers I see like posts about this movie a lot. And like I said, this is my favorite documentary. I've seen this movie probably at least a dozen times. Anytime I just want something to throw on and just be entertained, I will put this movie on. And who knows, Chris, maybe it'll grow on you over the years.
I'm not saying that I didn't like the whole thing. It's just certain spots. But that's my opinion of how I saw it.
We can't all appeal to Chris.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is American Movie. I highly recommend it. It's available to stream on it's on Prime. I think it's on Freevee. Check it out, man.
Yeah.
It's especially if you're interested in filmmaking, but you also want to be entertained at the same time. If you just want motivation to go make a movie, watch this movie. That's my take. Mark Borchardt, the guy is a maniac.
Yeah.
He got his movie made. At the end, he got Coven done, and they premiered it. So good for you, Mark.
It's a very interesting documentary to watch. I'm not like you that you really like this documentary.
No, I love it, Chris.
I know you love it. You love it. It was entertaining. Seeing how he goes through everything trying to make his short film. the characters are wild for sure.
Their character, like they're literally like I know they're real people, but like it feels
They
like
have their own
okay.
character to them.
This movie doesn't feel like a documentary. It feels like a mockumentary.
Right. It does. It does feel like a monkey. Like I told you at the very beginning, it reminded me of a Tiger King thing.
Mhm.
Like that's what it looked like and felt like. And like, okay, but and then it makes sense later on why I compared it. It is interesting. It does make you want to film because I did get that feeling, wanting to make something, and I kept thinking of Todd Gator and Crossroads afterwards.
So I'll be in Florida.
Next
By the
week.
time this episode airs, I'll be in Florida a few days later. Chris and I are making 2 short films while I'm there.
Yep.
One is the end of a trilogy to something we started a year ago. The other one is Chris's original short film idea, and we'll keep you updated as we get those done down the road.
Yes, we shall keep you updated.
See, Chris was motivated. Now he's making a short film. So we're going to wrap it up. We want to thank everybody for watching, for joining us back after a couple weeks off. Thank you for sticking with us. And, make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you've seen the movie, comment if, you just want to talk about something. And that's all I got. Chris, take it from here.
Up print, moving on.
And just remember, that's all right. That's okay. You got something to live for. Jesus told me so. That's it. Chris owes me $5. Good night.
That was awful. That was just awful. What do you think, Mark?
I don't know, man. We didn't get the shots we need. Man, what do you think, Mike? I mean, if you saw action going on in front of you, would you know instinctively to center it in front of you?
I don't know. Could someone take my soda out of the icebox, please, so it doesn't freeze?
You're supposed to be taking care of my money and doesn't tell me a darn thing about it.